The Grizz had the second best record in the NBA, the second best record in the West, and the fifth best net rating. I don't think Grizzlies fans can be too disappointed with how this past season went. They certainly overperformed expectations and put on a good showing in the playoffs. They are probably still a few little tweaks away from true title contention, and the draft picks this year could potentially help them get there. So, who are they likely to select? Well, I've scoured the internet for mock drafts to gain information and selected a few players I think have a chance to be selected by them, and I'm going to give you some info on them. So, without any further dilly-dallying, let's get into it. Let's start with Kennedy Chandler out of Tennessee. Having been born in Cordova, Tennessee, which is just east of Memphis, and having played for the Tennessee Volunteers, it would be nice to see the Grizzlies select their hometown boy. The Grizz will no doubt lose Tyus Jones this offseason, who was a brilliant backup guard for them. Chandler could potentially fill that void. He is pretty small, but he's speedy, is a decent ball handler, and brings the intensity on defense. The jumper was quite iffy though, and despite his effort, he will more than likely be targeted defensively in high-level player situations. That really puts a ceiling on his potential, but if he can smoothen out some of his edges, I think he could grow into that backup role for the Grizz moving forward. Next up, let's talk about Baldwin Jr. out of Milwaukee. The Grizzlies have been searching for that prototypical big wing for a while now. From Justice Winslow to Ziaire Williams, they have searched far and wide. Now, I'm not saying that I think they're giving up on Ziaire, it's just that I think they might want another bite of the cherry. That's why my next few picks will be a couple of those big-bodied wings who have the potential to fill the void the Grizzlies seem to think they have. And we're going to start with Baldwin Jr. He's really tall, showed good shooting form, and had a little juice as a shot creator. Now, he was woefully inefficient, and the shot creation potential might end up being just that, potential. The upside of him being a shooter who can get his own shot off in a pinch, and who can be a decent to maybe good off-ball defender might be enough to get the Grizzlies to take a fly on him. Next, let's talk about Kadeem Brown out of Baylor. Brown is another one of those prototypical wings that has fallen pretty far down a lot of people's draft boards, including mine. But it's worth remembering why he was so high in the first place. He projects as a long and strong 3-and-D wing who can cause havoc off the ball offensively. That's exactly what all NBA teams want. The truth is, his offense was really underwhelming. He was very shot shy and hesitant with the ball in his hands. The jumper didn't look smooth, and even the defense wasn't as good as advertised. The tools are still there, and I'd back Memphis' development team to get the most out of him. Finally, let's talk about Max Christy out of Michigan State. There was a decent chance that Max Christy might not even have been in this draft class. He was a highly touted prospect going into his freshman season at Michigan, but he had a rough start and scouts immediately soured on him. A big reason he was so well regarded was because of his shooting, and while the percentages weren't good in college, the form looked smooth and snappy. I think he can be a good shooter off the catch and come in with movement in the NBA. He hits shots running around screens off the ball, and if he can do that at a better clip, he should automatically become a valuable asset. He's also got the tools to be valuable as an on-ball defender, with his long arms and relatively quick feet. He is quite skinny though and not particularly strong. I'm not sold on his on-ball creation, and his finishing at the rim could use some improvement too. The upside for him to be a productive player is certainly there though.